tricked MT-09 SP, and we're doing quite a few bits and bobs to this. So it's having a major service, and then as an add-on, we're doing full ECU mapping, a DNA air filter, the race tools package, which includes auto warm-up, pit lane, launch control, and quick shifter blipper. It already has a quick shifter on it, but we have more control with the race tools version, and it's also always got the blipper as well. We're going to have a Domino quick action throttle as well. May change the grips over, but it'll probably be the same again, just fresh. So we're going to get into it now. Bike's on the dyno. We're going to prep it for the base run. So this is going to be our start position, then it'll blow apart, do all the bits and bobs to it, and then we'll finish off with the mapping at the end. Seat off, tank off, get to the ECU, cap the pair valve, because this has actually got one, the gen after this doesn't. Get a signal, RPM signal, and then we'll get a base run and see what kind of power it is making.
We've skipped a little bit on this, so apologies for that. So quick update, quick action throttle is now on. Ignore the odd grips, we're going to put black and blue grips on this. So that's all done. Going down to the top of the head, this is obviously having a full service as well. So plugs it in, pair valve system is capped. We've got rid of the evap system as well, because that was a big load of crap down there. Oil's been dropped and replaced along with the filter. Coolant has been done. So the next thing really is to get it on the dyno when there's a free slot. We will fit the Translogic quick shifter blipper unit, or the blipper unit should I say, the add-on to that, because it's got the OEM function. So Translogic do a little addition for that. He's deciding whether to go for the DNA panel filter in the OEM airbox or to go for the stage 2 kit. So he's going to make a decision on that. So then it's blipper on, whatever intake we decide to go on, map it, and then finish it off with the GPR damper. And I think for now, that's everything he's going for. So yeah, quick little update, time for the dyno.
Oh, wires. I had it in my head that it was just going to be one plug. It's not one plug, it's several. Okay. Oh, it's got an auto warm-up. Ooh. So with the Translogic one, you get a little button. What we would normally do if we were going to ECU map this is we'd also fit the Woolwich race tools. Anyway, there's been like a month, 2 month wait period for them to get everything switched over to the new company. So in the interim, we're doing the Translogic stuff. Now the Translogic stuff is the best plug and play quick shifters that we recommend. So we've gone to this instead. Now, normally if we went ECU mapping on race tools would have a button such as this, and you would press it and it would do auto warm up, launch control, pit lane limiter, and then you'd also have the quick shifter blipper. Now, when you go to the standalone blippers, it's normally just the blipper, but Translogic did do it for a while, and they must still be doing it, where you get a little button to do warm up as well. So I'm hoping that's what it is. I might be wrong. Stay tuned, you'll find out. But yeah, so that's what we're using. We're using the Translogic version in comparison to the ECU race tools. The difference is there's wires. So obviously, if we were using the Woolwich flash race tools, it's basically one plug. It normally goes into like the oxygen sensor or whatever, which is obviously obsoleted, or exhaust control valve, any of those type of things, and that's it. And then everything runs via the ECU. With this, unfortunately, there's wires. Lots and lots of wires, and that's going to run to various things, which just adds a little bit of extra work to it. It's not any more complicated, it just needs a little bit more work. And we are tidying, and we are wiring. Tidying and wiring, wiring and tidying. What am I doing? We're getting through wiring everything up. So there's quite a lot of wiring with these, so you have to kind of lace it around. We're a bit finicky with it as well, so we want to make sure that it's hidden as much as possible. So that goes onto the TPS, onto the pen coils, and then a sensor that runs down to the bottom, and then an earth strap. Now we're on to doing the the actual quick shifter sensor itself, and we're also fitting a race torque gear shift support, which aids in the shifting and stops some lateral movement. Means you get a bit more of a positive shift. With these, it's a case of making sure that the lever positions are about 90 degrees to each other and they're parallel. Just make sure that you're magnifying the forces. So we're cutting down the linkage to make sure that we've got enough space top and bottom to be able to make adjustments for the customer, so that once we've done it, you can twizzle that up and down and make it comfortable for what they want. Locking it all off. This is the race torque gear shift support. This now fits behind that shaft at the top, and it basically just adds an extra bearing to give it more support. Blob of grease, bit of Loctite on that bolt, make sure it all moves and spins nice and free. Bolt it all back up, jobs are good. Now we're on to just lacing the rest of the wiring and connecting the last few bits and bobs up. Again, same as before, we try and keep everything as neat as possible, so we run majority of the wiring along the original harnesses, so that includes on this left hand side. So we run that wire up, connect that up, and then they are directional, so we can have this in race shift or road shift. You literally just need to swap that around. Find a little bit to tidying up, cable tie everything together, make it look nice and pretty. Connect up the OE sensor as well, and now we are finished. And we've tried to keep it, as I said before, as clean as possible, so it doesn't really look like anyone's even been in there. Obviously, there's a little bit of dodgy wire in there for some tracker thing, but that's got nothing to do with us, so that's okay. So now we're also fitting the auto warm-up button, so you basically press this when it's cold, and it will blip the throttle, and then it will knock itself off around like 75 degrees. And then we're also doing a voltage test because we need a constant 12 volt feed, which we're going to use the brake switch for, and that's also to give the quick shifter unit some information as well. Now we're going to give everything a bit of a clean, so the airbox is all ready to go back on. So that gets a little polish, everything will get cleaned, and then we'll grease up all of the bits where we've got to connect stuff to. So we'll grease the rubber manifolds and then grease the bits where the crankcase breathers and stuff have got to go to, just make life easier. Push everything down. Whenever we're doing any of these, you've got to always make sure that you can get your hands inside the actual ducts themselves to make sure that they completely seat, and then tighten them up while you're still pushing them down. That way then there's no chance of them backing off and pulling up. Now, finish bolting it all down, and time for a DNA air filter. Oh yeah, baby. Now we grease these, 1 to help it seal and 2 to help it fit, because they can be a bit finicky these. So it's basically making sure that everything will slide together nicely. So you can see it goes click straight on and then screw it down. Now we use the gun to just send them most of the way down, and then we'll actually use the screwdriver to finish them off, mainly so that you don't ever rip the threads out of these, because these are just plastic. Go around a couple of times, make sure nothing's missed and it's all seated properly. Quick clean, and then we're on to taking the oxygen sensor out, because we don't need this anymore, so we're going to disabled in the ECU. Built all back up, airbox is on, DNA filter is in, Domino quick action throttle's on with our little now fancy button, boom boom boom, for exciting mode. The wiring's all done for the race tools, which is the Translogic stuff. Race torque gear shift support is on, and we are currently flashing the ECU, which is there. Hello little ECU. We read the original file, save that, and then we make our modified file and then put that on. That's our base map, and then we're going to jump straight into doing the mapping. You see that now. Can you hear that? Just make that noise. So in good conscience, I can't run this if I think there's going to be an issue. So right now, I'm getting a bit of a rattle from inside there. It sounds like something's grinding, something's loose, something's not happy. So I'm basically I'm gonna try and do this in 2 parts. I'm hoping I don't have to take the entire cover off. Just purely would need gaskets, etc., etc., and try and avoid that, because I'd like to try and get this done today. So I'm going to take the inspection cover off, which is what you normally do to be able to turn the engine over, because it gets you direct onto the crank. I'm going to take this off first, because this is just on an O-ring, so I can re-grease that, stick that back on, and see if I can see anything. If it's just like something is obvious, and it's maybe even the crank nut. I mean, who knows? I could be really, really lucky. So we'll take that off and see what's going on in there first, and see if there's anything nasty in there. Holy sh**. That is tight. Oh, okay. Can we see anything? that's interesting. Took the nuts off, checked to see if anything was loose behind there, everything's tight. And you can't see anything obvious. Now on these, what we're expecting to be the problem would be there is a cable guide that bolts on. That's basically, it's only got a tiny little bolt in it and they can come loose, so whether that would be an issue. But it didn't sound that consistent and it sounded a little bit electrical because you get that fizz noise and the fizzy arc. It's like an arcing sound. So I had an idea of just getting to the regulator rectifier unit, which is just underneath the seat there, it's just there. And then unplug that and see if the sound goes away. And it did. Tested it a million times, same thing. So when you plug it in, you get that little rattle, unplug it, disappears. What that basically means is the actual windings must be arcing across each other, but I've tested the actual windings and the winding resistance is fine. Who knows? And it's charging at 14.2, fine. Who knows? I would argue that at some point that might need replacing. The other thing as well is always pay attention to detail. That is clearly damaged. It has sustained some damage, which means there's a possibility that at some point the impact is, because they've got like a resin coating across the windings, which is just copper, and that could have been cracked or broken or anything, so that could mean that it's more likely that it's going to arc and make funny noises, so it could just be that. But for the purposes of getting on with what we're doing, it's fine, it's going to be safe. We'll just relay the information to the customer and let him know realistically it needs that case popping off at some point, and then the generator replacing, the windings replacing. Anyway, there we go. Right, we are now building through the maps. This is a process of going through all different throttle positions, as low down in the engine revs as possible, all the way to the highest revs possible. This is data collection, so we're basically going to run this as far as we can, all the way from 2%, 4%, 6%, 8, 12, whatever, all the way through to 100% throttle. And then that gives me the graphs on the left-hand screen, which then I can refer back to make the adjustments. And you can see the AFR values are the things that are dancing around on the right-hand side. We want them to roughly be seen in the green all the time. And once we've built through the TPS map, then we jump to the intake air pressure map. This table is really critical for low down, so initial throttle openings, this is the table that we use quite a lot. Now, the way we do this one is we'll use a little bit of load on the dyno, so we'll hold the revs at certain positions, and then we will build through this table live. And you can see as I'm riding the bike, I'm looking at what the values are, and then I'm just making corrections. It's not a live as in we'll be able to see the results, but it's live as in I can see what it is and I can make my calculated guesses basically. Then we'll repeat the process and check it once it's been flashed. We're going to do a quick fitting of a GPR steering number 2. It's MT-09 SP. Let's see. If you like any of our content, please like and subscribe. And if you've got any questions, bang it in the box. It is done. So we've also fitted the GPR damper, obviously fitted all the other bits and bobs as well, and what you didn't see was the grips. We've changed the grips back over. So we did already have these black and blue Domino 410s. Nice. They're a bit dirty and grubby, and we're changing stuff over anyway, so we've put a fresh pair of them on. Nice, nice. We've done everything else to it as well. There's a few things that weren't amazing on this, unfortunately, and we've tried to do our best to sort all of those out. Still a few things that may be on the to-do list as well. Power-wise, we started at 108 and we finished at 115, so not a bad gain, especially since majority of the gain's actually in the mid-range, so really happy with that as well. All in all, happy days. On to the next one.